Dear brothers and sisters, today we have upon us the 26th Sunday in Ordinary Time Year C, and we read from the book of the prophet Amos, 6 verse 1, then verses 4 through to 7, and 1 Timothy chapter 6 verses 11 through to 16, and Luke's Gospel chapter 16 from verses 19 through to 31. The main theme of today's readings is a warning that the selfish and extravagant use of God's blessings, like wealth with no share going to the poor and the needy, is a serious sin against charity, deserving eternal punishment. It is an invitation for a high level of sensitivity and consideration for the most unfortunate, the less privileged, and the needy amongst us, the destituted, those whom we see the face of Christ radiating, especially in the poor and the less privileged. Brothers and sisters, today's reading warns us against making money the goal of our existence. At the end of our lives, God checks only what kind of persons we were and what good, or the amount of good we have been able to do to others and for others. We are on the right road when we use our wealth and God-given blessings to attain heavenly goals. Amos, in the first reading, issues a very powerful and stern warning to those who seek wealth at the expense of the poor, even going to the extent of extorting them, and who spend their time and their money only on themselves. Amos prophesies that those rich and self-indulgent people will be severely dealt with by God and punished by Him with exile because they don't care for the poor and the sufferings of the brothers and sisters. In the responsorial psalm, Psalm 146, a praise of Yahweh, whom we see as the father of the poor who cares for the poor. In the second reading, St. Paul admonishes us to pursue righteousness, devotion, faith, love, patience, and gentleness, and not to pursue the riches of life, which are all disillusions in themselves. In the gospel text, Jesus gives us a very plain warning pointing to the destiny of the rich who neglect the poor. And he calls them to show mercy and be considerate and sensitive. This is exemplified in the drama between the rich man and Lazarus. My dear brothers and sisters, today's gospel tells us about the parable of the rich man and Lazarus. The rich man has no difficulty in having his riches, and riches in themselves are not bad. The Lord does not condemn them. But the question therefore borders on what we do with our possessions and how sensitive and considerate we are with those around us with the blessings of God that He has bestowed upon us in our time, talents, and resources. Let us take note of the fact that this rich man had a very clean record. He could claim to be a model citizen and God-fearing man. He lived luxuriously. He feasted sumptuously every day, inviting his friends, while he did not mind Lazarus, the beggar who longed and yearned to eat from the scraps that fall from his table. At the end of it all, one destiny awaited them, death, which is a mark and a seal upon all human. At the end of it all, both of them died. Lazarus, we are told, went to heaven. Let me emphasize, not because he is a poor man or God likes poverty and has conditioned it as an entrance to heaven. Be careful, because poor people who are wicked and ungodly will always find their way to hell. God is not extolling poverty, and He is not at the same time not celebrating riches. But take note of this, the rich man went to hell. Why? What are his offenses? Insensitivity, inconsideration. Jesus does not teach us that owning wealth is bad, so we have to disregard it. Not at all. God created wealth, therefore this is good and beautiful. Let us see it, therefore, as a means that God Himself has blessed us in order that we become blessings unto others. God is just so merciful to us and to each and every one of us. The Lord trusts you, and that is why He has bestowed upon you whatever it is that you possess. What is the sin of this rich man, we may ask? He did not order his men that Lazarus should be removed from his gate. No, at least he's charitable enough to let him even hang around there, we may say. But at the same time, this was a hungry man. Whatsoever you do to the least of my brothers and sisters, Jesus says, you do it unto me. He did not make any objection to his receiving the leftover that fell from his table. No, he didn't refuse that. He did not kick him out of his house. No. He was not cruel with him. No. He was too well-mannered. The sin of the rich man, however, let us take note, was that he never noticed Lazarus, who represents a fact of life. The poor, the needy, the marginalized, the destituted, the less privileged amongst us. He did no wrong, but he did nothing, and that was the wrong. In the Catholic teaching, dear brothers and sisters, that is the sin of omission. Not doing what ought to be done or what is supposed to be done. The rich man omitted and failed to do well because he was supposed to do what he needed to do, to simply be his brother's keeper, to attend to the needs of his neighbor. Sometimes we too easily excuse sin of omission by claiming we do not notice anything wrong around us to attend to it. That is the problem with us sometimes too. We do not do anything. Thus, not to do something when ideally we should be doing something positive to infect and affect the life of others is in itself wrong. We have countless Lazaruses roaming around our streets, countless sons and daughters of God roaming around and seeking help, our youth needing jobs, the poor looking for bread. Yes, Nigeria, our country, is not just blessed as a nation, but is blessed with human capacities and endowed men and women whose riches and blessings too we request by the grace of God should affect and rub on others. The sin of the rich man could be our sin too if we will not lift a finger to help all the Lazaruses around us. Sometimes we become blind or amnesia when our personal interests reign. Mother Teresa says, they don't have food but love. They are homeless, not because they don't have homes, but because they are rejected. The earth is already a home for all. Let us therefore build it to accommodate ourselves and accommodate all. To this end in mind, let us reflect on these words from the song titled, Heal the World. Heal the world and make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying. If we care enough for their living, make a better place for you and for me.